The movie begins in Germania, 180 AD, where we see the Roman army, led by General Maximus, preparing for battle against the barbarian tribes fortified in the region. Maximus sends an envoy to the tribes, offering them a chance to surrender. However, the envoy soon returns, or rather, his severed head does, as the barbarians kill him in defiance. Shortly after, the tribes emerge, holding the envoy's head, signaling their readiness to fight. At this moment, Maximus rallies his troops with an inspiring speech, and the battle begins immediately. The Roman soldiers use catapults to set the forests, where the tribes are hiding, ablaze. At the same time, Maximus leads a direct assault with his men, dealing massive losses to the barbarian. The battle rages on for a while, during which Maximus showcases his incredible strength and skill in combat. In the end, Maximus and his soldiers emerge victorious, claiming a hard-fought win. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius was present to witness the battle and was overjoyed by his army's victory. After the battle, Marcus approaches Maximus and asks him if he has a wish to mark this great triumph. Maximus replies that all he desires is his freedom, so he can return to his wife and son and live a quiet life. Maximus, originally a Spaniard, had been forced to serve as a general in the army against his will. Marcus promises to consider his request and give him an answer later. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Crown Prince Commodus, traveling in a carriage with his sister Lucilla, on their way to meet Marcus, who has summoned them due to his failing health. During their journey, Commodus tells his sister that he is the rightful heir to the throne. Upon arriving at the battlefield, Commodus meets his father, Marcus, and congratulates him on the victory. However, Marcus directs Commodus to also congratulate Maximus, acknowledging him as the true reason behind the triumph. It becomes clear that Marcus doesn't hold much affection for Commodus and seems to intentionally embarrass him for not participating in the fight like Maximus did. That same night, a grand celebration is held to honor the army's great victory. During the festivities, Commodus approaches Maximus and introduces him to two members of the Roman Senate. Later, Commodus speaks privately with Maximus, revealing that his father, Marcus, is near death and that he is poised to become the next emperor. Commodus then proposes an alliance, offering Maximus his support in eliminating the Senate, which he claims is a constant obstacle to imperial rule. But Maximus declines the offer, making it clear that he has no interest in such matters and only wishes to gain his freedom so he can return to his wife and son. Commodus becomes visibly upset by Maximus's response, but chooses not to comment. Instead, he changes the subject, mentioning that his sister Lucilla still harbors feelings for Maximus. He reminds Maximus of the love story they once shared in the past, which ultimately came to an end. The next day, Marcus summons Maximus and directly informs him of his intention to appoint him as the protector of Rome instead of his son, Commodus. Marcus explains that he believes Commodus is unfit to lead the empire. Maximus expresses his desire to simply gain his freedom and return to his family, but Marcus insists on his decision, explaining that he sees Maximus as the best person to safeguard the future of Rome. He gives Maximus some time to think it over before making a final decision. Later, Maximus meets with Lucilla and they reminisce about their past. Lucilla shares that she is now a widow and has an 8-year-old son named Lucius. She subtly hints at the possibility of rekindling their former relationship, but Maximus gently reminds her that he is married and has a family, making it impossible for him to return to her. Later, Marcus informs his son Commodus that he will not be the next emperor. Instead, Maximus will be appointed as the protector of the empire temporarily, allowing the Senate to oversee the nation's affairs and transition Rome into a republic governed by its people. Commodus is enraged, feeling that his father is stripping him of his rightful claim to the throne as emperor. In a moment of uncontrollable rage, Commodus approaches his father, pretending to embrace him, but secretly strangles him to death. After committing the act, Commodus sends a soldier to summon Maximus. When Maximus arrives, Commodus informs him of the emperor's death. It doesn't take long for Maximus to realize that Commodus is the one responsible. As Maximus tries to act, a group of soldiers, led by his old friend Quintus, steps in and arrests him under Commodus's command. Maximus realizes that Commodus has decided to eliminate him. Desperate, he pleads with Quintus to protect his wife and son. However, Quintus delivers a devastating blow, revealing that Commodus has already ordered their execution. Overcome with grief and shock, Maximus is left reeling. The next day, Maximus is taken to a forest to be executed. Despite his injuries, he manages to overpower the soldiers and kills them all, using his skill and determination to survive. However, he sustains a wound to his arm during the fight. After escaping, Maximus returns to his home, only to be met with a horrifying sight: the bodies of his wife and son brutally hung. Stricken with overwhelming grief, he collapses to his knees and weeps uncontrollably, the weight of his loss breaking him. Exhausted and weakened by his injury, he eventually succumbs to unconsciousness. When Maximus regains consciousness, he finds himself in a cart among a group of slaves. He learns that he is being transported with them to a city called Zucaba. The slave trader arrives at the residence of Proximo, a former gladiator turned trainer, and presents his collection of slaves, including Maximus. Intrigued, Proximo decides to purchase Maximus and another slave named Juba. Proximo then takes the group to his private arena, where he bluntly informs them that they are now his property and will be trained to fight as gladiators for the entertainment of others. Training begins under the supervision of a seasoned gladiator named Hagen, who quickly recognizes Juba's natural combat skills. However, when it comes to Maximus, Hagen encounters resistance. Maximus refuses to engage in training, unwilling to embrace the role of a gladiator or fight for the profit and amusement of others. His defiance sets him apart, but his pain and anger simmer beneath the surface. The next day, Maximus is forced into his first fight. This is no ordinary battle. He and Juba are chained together and must face a group of experienced gladiators, including Hagen. The odds are stacked against them, but the fight proceeds under the watchful eye of Proximo, who seems particularly interested in Maximus's potential. As the combat unfolds, Maximus, Juba, and Hagen fight valiantly, using their wits and resilience to overcome their opponents. Despite the challenges, their teamwork prevails, and they emerge victorious. Maximus becomes the center of attention, his extraordinary strength and tactical skill earning the admiration of the crowd and his fellow gladiators. On the other side, Commodus arrives in Rome with his sister Lucilla, where he is warmly welcomed by the people, as he has taken control of the empire. Later, he meets with the Senate, where tensions arise between him and Senator Gracchus. Gracchus criticizes Commodus's leadership and demands solutions for pressing issues like the spread of the plague. Commodus dismisses these concerns as unimportant, angering Gracchus, who believes Commodus is unfit to rule as emperor. Commodus attempts to intimidate him, but Lucilla intervenes, calming the situation and leading Commodus away. Later, Lucilla tells her brother that he must listen to the advice of the Senate, as they seek the good of Rome. However, Commodus refuses, seeing the Senate as a threat to his power, and plans to disband it entirely. He also decides to reopen the Great Colosseum in Rome and host 150 days of gladiatorial games each year to distract the people from the empire's problems. These games had been banned during his father Marcus's reign due to their high cost to the empire, but Commodus reinstates them as part of his plan. Meanwhile, Maximus continues to fight in the arena. Proximo urges him to put on a performance that will entertain the crowd, rather than focusing solely on winning the fight. But Maximus remains indifferent. He enters a new battle and emerges victorious with ease. After the fight, Proximo calls Maximus over and tells him that his next destination will be Rome, where he will participate in a match that could earn him his freedom should he impress the emperor. Proximo discovers that Maximus was once a fighter like him, but Emperor Marcus had given him a wooden sword as a symbol of his freedom. Maximus knows that the current emperor, Commodus, would never do such a thing. However, he decides to go to Rome to fight, hoping to either find a way to gain his freedom or, at the very least, face Emperor Commodus and reclaim his rightful place. After several days, Maximus, along with Juba, Hagen, Proximo, and a group of gladiators, arrives in Rome, standing before the iconic Colosseum. Everyone is in awe, knowing that they will fight in this legendary arena. Meanwhile, Commodus appears, casting a hostile glance at his nephew, Lucius. Lucilla arrives to take him away and speaks with him privately. Through their conversation, it becomes clear that Commodus plans to disband the Senate soon. Lucilla tries to convince him not to go through with it, but he refuses to listen. Later, Lucilla attends a secret meeting with Gracchus and Gaius, two members of the Senate, where they discuss plans to overthrow Commodus. Lucilla tells them that the gladiatorial games organized by Commodus are funded with food supplies, which will lead to a famine in a few years. She also expresses concern over Commodus's strange behavior toward her son, Lucius, who may be a target for assassination, since he is the rightful heir to the throne. The games begin at the Colosseum with Commodus in attendance, along with the crowd. Maximus and his team enter the arena, wearing helmets that conceal their faces. They are attacked by other gladiators on chariots, but Maximus demonstrates his skill in leading his team, and despite the challenges, they manage to emerge victorious. Hechinger is injured during the fight, but Maximus rushes to save him. After the victory, Commodus descends into the arena to speak with the gladiators, and when he asks Maximus to remove his helmet, he is shocked to discover that Maximus is still alive. Commodus grows enraged and orders Maximus to be killed immediately, but the crowd demands that he be spared, forcing Commodus to comply with their wishes. That night, Lucilla visits Maximus and tells him that she is not like her brother, Commodus. She asks for his help, along with Gracchus, to overthrow Commodus before he destroys the kingdom. Maximus refuses her offer and walks away. The next day, Commodus gathers the soldiers who had previously informed him of Maximus's death and kills them all for deceiving him. Later, Maximus faces a new challenge in the arena, an undefeated legendary opponent, accompanied by wild tigers, in an attempt by Commodus to eliminate him. However, Maximus proves his courage once again, defeating his opponent despite the overwhelming odds. After the battle, Commodus orders Maximus to kill the tigers, but he refuses. Commodus descends into the arena and tries to provoke Maximus in front of the crowd, but he fails. This forces him once again to spare Maximus's life. Afterward, Maximus approaches a soldier who was close to him in the past, asking him to gather a group of soldiers as he plans to do something significant soon. The soldier agrees eagerly and leaves. Meanwhile, Commodus is seen sitting with Falco, seething with anger and determined to eliminate Maximus. Falco suggests killing him, but Commodus refuses, knowing that the people love Maximus dearly, and his death would cause him to lose their support. Since he needs their backing when he dissolves the Senate, Commodus decides to find another way to dispose of Maximus. Maximus meets the soldier again, who tells him that he has contacted all the former soldiers and they are ready for any mission. Maximus is pleased and asks the soldier to deliver a message to Lucilla, informing her that he agrees to join the cause. The soldier carries out the request, and after some time, Maximus meets with Lucilla and Gracchus. Gracchus proposes a plan to get rid of Commodus. Maximus will buy himself out from Proximo, then gather his old army and return to Rome to overthrow Commodus. Maximus agrees to the plan. On the day Maximus is supposed to be bought, Gracchus is delayed, and Proximo arrives to inform Maximus that he has seen many spies in the city, and it seems Gracchus won't be able to fulfill the agreement. Maximus asks Proximo to release him so he can carry out his plan, but Proximo immediately refuses, stating that he needs more time to think. Later, Lucilla arrives to warn Maximus that Gracchus has been captured and that Commodus has learned everything. She urges him to escape immediately. However, she returns to her home to find Commodus waiting for her with her son, Lucius. He tells her that he knows everything and threatens to kill her son if she rebels against him again. Meanwhile, Commodus's forces are sent to Proximo's residence and the gladiators' quarters to eliminate them. Proximo rushes to Maximus and hands him the key to the room where the gladiators are held, allowing him to escape. Maximus asks the gladiators to create a distraction for the soldiers so that he can flee. The gladiators agree, but the soldiers kill Proximo and several of the gladiators, capturing the rest. Maximus tries to escape and reach his soldiers, but he is suddenly confronted by Commodus's forces, who capture him and throw him into prison. Commodus visits Maximus, stabbing him with a dagger in a dangerous wound before ordering him to be dressed in his armor, preparing for a public execution in the arena. Commodus plans to kill Maximus publicly to win the favor of the people and diminish his standing in their eyes. Despite his injury, Maximus faces Commodus with bravery and ultimately succeeds in killing him. Afterward, as Maximus is on the verge of death, he requests the release of his gladiator friends, like Juba, and honorable politicians like Gracchus, as they are the ones capable of restoring the country that Commodus had destroyed. Maximus finishes his speech and dies in a moment of sorrow, bringing the story to a tragic end.